The big boss man said cleanup's done, signed a paper, shook hands, packed up and run. They cut the ribbon, took their prize, but the ground still burns and the river still cries. Said we got it sealed, it's locked up tight, but I see the cracks in the pale moonlight. Ain't no steel strong enough.
Audio? No audio? Thanks, James. That's okay. Or at least now someone's out there watching. Should I do that again or what? So the International Atomic Energy Agency went to Japan, United Nations Nuclear Chief, to view the soil removed from Fukushima. He didn't go there to do that. He went there to pick up a $14.6 million check. Japan is the third biggest donor to the International Atomic Energy Agency. He only goes there. Last time he went there, he got a $19 million check to view the water releases. You know. Yeah, he's going there to watch the water release. Oh, and pick up a $19 million check. He's gone there this time to view the soil, because a picture won't work. As if he didn't know the soil. I mean, he picked up 30 million one-ton bags. If he doesn't know the soil exists, you got to go there to view it, where he shouldn't be in the job, should he? Oh, my goodness. And I got a link there to James Lewis's YouTube channel, to his music channel, Anti-Nuclear Music. It's probably one of the best songs you'll ever hear. I've had it on loop today for almost a full hour. I still never got tired of it. Then I had it playing the night on the loop for about 20 minutes. It's a good song, man. It's got a brutally good lead guitar lick into it. It's like got the whole package. You should promote the shit out of that song, James. It's a prime time to do it, isn't it? Small modular reactors. I'm going to play the song at the end of the show if you don't go over here, but you should go over and listen to it, give it a like, subscribe to him. It's a crazy song, man. You've really done it. Again. The song I started off with is another hit by James. You can go to my playlist, you'll find a whole whack of them. So this story it showed up 35 times, and the majority of the media I wasn't even familiar with, and we cover this constantly. Caledonia Record. I don't know if we've ever covered them before. You get the exact same picture in 35 stories. But there's some really interesting stuff. So they're going to piggyback off superstar Taylor Swift. She gets mentioned in 98% of the stories. Instead of saying the Tokyo Dome, arena, why would you put in where U.S. pop singer Taylor Swift performed? Why would you put that there? What was the point of that? Somebody else must have performed there. So they were going after Taylor Swift's fan base because she has a huge fan base. And they know quite a few of them are fanatics, especially the young people. As you'll see that coming up tonight. It's consistent with the International Atomic Energy Agency safety standards, the International Atomic Energy Agency said. And quite the coincidence, the same afternoon he shows up, he gets a $14.6 million U.S. check from the to the International Atomic Energy Agency. They say for initiatives in Ukraine and other countries, including improving cancer diagnosis. Yeah, just spend it wherever you want. You don't have to say anything. Just spend it here, spend it there. AK, put it in your pocket. I probably sound better with no volume. I have some pictures coming up, videos from the last number of days. Not all of it's good. It's all good. We got everything resolved, but Japan's approach for recycling and disposing of soil and radioactive waste from decontamination activities is consistent with the International Atomic Energy Agency safety standards. Really? So, like, if you could ask the International Atomic Energy Agency a question, mine would be, where else did you pick up 30 million one-ton bags of radiation? It's unprecedented, I thought. 30 million one-ton bags of radiation. That's not counting they're going to burn 1 billion pounds. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me try to explain the madness of this statement. So they're going there to view the bags. Okay. That's cool. About time, 13 years later. Playing past the parcel, 2016. 30 million tons. They're talking about 30 million one-ton bags. The bags deteriorate after 3 years. So they're talking about those one-ton bags. Where they happen to be growing food right alongside of. In a nuclear wasteland. Why, aren't they being prosecuted for what they're doing? Wouldn't you like to see these people prosecuted for what they're doing? This is a genocide. This food is shipped worldwide. And they were storing the one-ton bags in 2016 at 105,000 sites, on-site storage locations. I think in 2019 it was 150,000 sites. Or 2018 or something. Because we covered it over and over and over. But Rafael Grossi is just getting around to go down and have a look. Is he going to go there and stand up and say how nice it is? Or is he just going to pick up his check, get the frig out of the nuclear wasteland? Fukushima will start burning radioactive waste 100,000 atoms a kilogram to be incinerated with 1 billion pounds at 100,000 atoms minimum. That's the minimum, is 100,000 atoms that they're putting in the 30 million one-ton bags. And by the way, 30 million one-ton bags, you put a one-ton bag, that's all you can put on the back of a one-ton pickup truck. That's bumper to bumper. That's 5 rows of traffic around the planet. It's a road traffic all the way to the moon, basically. On Tuesday, Gross met the foreign minister, who said Japan would give $14.6 million to the International Atomic Energy Agency. Got nothing to do with being there to check out the bags, has it? Congenital heart disease operations rose 14% after Fukushima. Just bear with me. So that's 14,200 infants, neonatal infants, per 100,000 children that need open heart surgery for congenital malformations. 14,200 children out of 100,000 across the country need open heart surgery. There's 864,000 extra cancers in the first year, excess cancers. By the way, did you know that the radioactive fallout is 2 billion times more toxic than industrial poison? Doesn't this upset you? And don't think that because it happened over there, it didn't happen in North America or anywhere else. The xenon-133 in Washington was 450,000 times above detection level, so say around 4 million atoms per square meter. You really think you escaped that? You really think there's no adverse side effects from that? You really think that this is not worth fighting for and fighting about? I certainly do, and anybody in their right mind would. I got another show ready, probably tomorrow night's show. A drone armed with a warhead hits the protective outer shell of Ukraine's Chernobyl plant. The building, that part of the building is the front part of the building. Is not the part under the reactor. Is not right underneath that. The reactor is at the back of the building there. That part is where they have a lot of equipment. You can actually go into that part. It's sectioned off from the reactors, the melted reactor. That's a pretty good shot. Conveniently, they had pictures from the inside. Now, when you look at this, what are you seeing? You're seeing the debris is blown out, not in. Almost looks like a perfect hole, don't it? The debris. Now, this is a drone flew into it. That's their version anyway. But I was looking at it, and it don't look right to me. It looks like an explosion from the inside to me. And look at the way the metal is shredded up there, but not torn apart. It's not pushed out of the way. And you see this section right here? What is this? Up at the roof, right at the same spot as the hole. Don't tell me there's a set of stairs up there, right by the hole, where somebody can go up and put a bit of an explosives or something. Do you believe these people? The explosion was from the inside, not outside. Looks like Zelensky, who the guy everybody was quoting, is saying it was hit by a drone. But the video, when you look at this video, this is an alleged drone strike. And what they show you, they don't show you the drone strike, they show you the explosion. Okay. Now look at that explosion. That's a pretty impressive explosion. That's an impressive explosion, isn't it? Now when you look at that explosion, you would think there's a bigger friggin' hole than that, right? But something else about that explosion. Look how everything's being pushed away. In fact, look how everything is being pushed away. See that? Watch. You're actually going to see the debris going outwards. Look at this. And see those two white dots up there? That's part of that explosion. Let me move up there. Just want to make sure you track that. That one and that one. So that's clearly Zelensky staged it. Bear with me there. Clearly Zelensky. I got videos of him when he was young. They're the most frightening things you'll ever see. And you can see the big piece. It's shooting away from the buildings like everything else. So look at that explosion again one more time. Let me see the full explosion. This one up here. That's a big explosion, isn't it? And that's what it's done. Now that works if you shoot something out of the building. That's how you get that explosion, right? But if you're hitting that building, then that explosion doesn't work. If you're actually a projectile hitting the building with a warhead. And every story, we're going to cover that tomorrow night. I just wanted to make everybody aware that was happening. Now, remember this story. This story is from earlier the week. Japan to pick final disposal site for Fukushima soil around 2030. They changed. The United Nations shows up. They're going to pick it today or tomorrow. I got to get it done. He wants his check and he wants out of there. He don't want to have to come back, I guess. And that picture is the picture that all 35 stories that I just hate to say these words, that I read every word on, looking for anything extra, right? Because there was a few stories that gave you a little tiny bit extra. It wasn't worth reading 35 stories as far as I'm concerned. But that's some of the shit that I got to do. And I remember I was getting down to like 6 stories left. It was 6. And I stopped. I got up and got a cup of tea. And I was like, if they were in front of me right now, I'd literally kick the shit out of them. I was so upset with these disgusting parasites. The UN nuclear watchdog chief should be in jail. Clearly, this person should be charged under the racketeering statutes. Clearly, the UN and the International Atomic Energy Agency is a criminal organization. These are criminals of the worst type, too. In fact, there's no bigger criminals than what they've got done. And you'll see that coming up. I'll articulate that so it's incontestable coming up. And just because I'm censored and not very many people looks like they're watching or listening to the video, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. You know what I find interesting is people will talk to somebody, their friends or co-workers or whatever, or coffee shop employee, and they'll tell them a story, and they'll go and repeat that story like it's real everywhere they go, forever. But if I haven't got 1 million views, then it doesn't matter. You see any irony and stuff like that? And that's the way the industry sees it too, right? Oh, we'll give him no views, then people won't even consider him. Besides, he's over 30 seconds, so only a fraction of the people could watch that stuff. We got him dumbed down. We can't have a future with these people on our planet. We have to consider that they have to be held accountable. And the United Nations have an awful lot to do with the nuclear industry. And like the ICRP, the UNSCLEAR, ERPA, the IPRC, blah, 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 blah. Who else? National Council on Radiation Measurement and Protection, Pan American Health Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization. They actually, I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of subsidy companies. They got one for every facet of your life worldwide. And so the ICRP will back up UNSCLEAR, UNSCLEAR will back up ERPA, ERPA will back up the International Atomic Energy Agency, the International Atomic Energy will back up the NCPR. But they're all the same organization, but the average person has no concept. They just think they're legitimate organizations. Health Physics Society, really some of the worst scum. In fact, the same scum are on each of these pins. They call them pins, right? UN nuclear watchdog chief arrived in Japan Tuesday for a trip to include his very first visit. There's actually not 14 million bags, it's 30 million bags that we know about that they picked up. 30 million. That went into meltdown. That's interesting. You'll see that phrase a lot, went into meltdown or suffered a meltdown. So they're doing everything they can to avoid saying nuclear meltdown. And all the media seems to be really good at that. Workers at the wrecked plant, these are nuclear meltdowns, by the way, on Japan's northeastern coast last week began dismantling wastewater. It's not wastewater, these are nuclear sludge that will kill everybody in the room after 20 minutes if there's a liter of it there. To free up space for tons of nuclear debris. So they just keep regurgitating the exact same stories. Clearly this is cooked up by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Grossi will tour the site on Wednesday, which is Fukushima and Okuma, which are actually communities attached to the nuclear disaster site itself, the nuclear event site. And will also be shown the contaminated soil the government is currently discussing how to handle. Some of these stories are a little bit too big for the screen. It should be moving. There's only a few stories that will do something like that, right? What do we got down here? I'll just bring it in here for a minute. Grossi will tour the site on Wednesday. Will also be shown the contaminated soil at the government. Because you notice on this screen it might pinch off a little bit. I'm not sure why it does that. It shouldn't do that. After the disaster, about 13 million cubic meters of soil. After the disaster, after the nuclear meltdowns, you mean? 13 million cubic meters of soil. It's not. It's 30 million. I showed you that earlier. About 300,000 cubic meters of ash. So these are 6 foot, cubic meters, 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet, right? If you stack them on each other, you can go up to the Hubble Space Telescope. That's how much we're talking about. It's like 1,200 miles of 1-ton trucks, bumper to bumper, with 1 ton in the back of them. And this ash is not organic material per se. This is radioactive soil. This was 100 or a million atom, 100,000 or a million plus atoms per kilogram we're talking about. These are dirty bombs by the kilogram. And so they burnt this stuff, and then they can't get rid of the ashes because which is just a fraction of the inventory that they burnt. And they can't get rid of that because that's so radioactive. I'm not calling it radioactive ash. Incineration of organic material, part of the decontamination effort, further in the sentence. I mean, kept at an interim storage facility. It's kept in an open pit where it ends up, every time it rains and the typhoons and snow washes it back into the water tables in the biosphere and the ecosystem. A 16 square mile site. Japan plans to recycle roughly 75% of the removed soil. 75% of the radioactive soil, not removed soil, the radioactive soil. Again, refusing. And it can't have low radioactivity because you picked it up, you had a minimum number. You had 100,000 atoms per kilogram or something, or more. Just because the minimum was 100,000, it most likely tens of millions per kilogram for a lot of it. The portions found to have low radioactivity levels. Again, this industry can't open this pie hole without lying, and shouldn't they be prosecuted for what they're doing? Do you really think they're going to reform their evil ways if we don't prosecute them? And that they're a threat to everything with replicating cells on this planet? This is not a game. This is not an opinion, okay? Excuse me. If this material is confirmed safe, how can it be safe? It's a nuclear meltdown. That's why we have terrorist laws, which should be applied to the International Atomic Energy Agency clearly. The authorities, which are the criminals, the monsters themselves, want to use it for civil engineering projects, including building embankments for roads and railways, the government and the International Atomic Energy Agency says. Well, why don't you store it? Why would you use it? You would never use it before anywhere else on the planet. Why would you use it in Japan? You can't dig a mine shaft and put it all down in the mine shaft? Really? You haven't got any abandoned mines in Japan where you can store it? Really? Is Japan too stupid to dig a mine? Is that what's really going on here? And if the answer is yes, that won't surprise me. Any country that will let their government and the nuclear industry poison them in their supermarkets and their drinking water, I can't have any respect for them. I feel pity for them, but I can't have any respect for them. They're the third biggest economy on the planet. You'd think they would have the common sense not to allow something like this to take place and to go to war against their government. They're the ones that were supposed to go to war against their government. Now it's our turn. It's our job because they won't do it. Because they're too complacent or too stupid. And flipping a coin probably won't solve that one. And the International Atomic Energy Agency should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. For covering the whole thing up and continue to cover the whole thing up. I can't comprehend, I can't rationalize why this is allowed to continue or take place in the first place, let alone continue. It's not sustainable and it's not acceptable. The remaining soil will be disposed of outside the region at a 2045 deadline. So you're going to take your nuclear waste, put it somewhere else. Wow, fucking well. You're geniuses. You're geniuses. You all should get Nobel Peace Prizes. You're so fucking smart. You're so brilliant. We should all get down on one fucking knee and kiss the ring whenever you walk down the street, I suppose, next, is it? But you're criminals. You're monsters. You're sadistic monsters. You're nothing special in any shape. We've seen millions of these Ponzi schemes over the year, but you're the worst ones. You're the most sadistic creatures conceivable. And the most heartless, too. Poison everyone. And go around in your $5,000 suits and picking up your $14.6 million checks, pretending you're special to yourself and everybody around you. You're lunatics. You're actual lunatics. You're lucky I can't sit down and have a chat with you. I can tell you that much. Because the world wouldn't be long hating you in a heartbeat. The government has said it intends to confirm the disposal site this year. Not by 2030s. With Fukushima region, which he said earlier in the week. No, well, they're going to pick up $14.6 million check. I just tell them you'll figure it out this year. People like that should be drowned in a bucket of vomit. Waterboarded with vomit. 189 times like done Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. He also confessed to killing JFK, confessed to killing Elvis Presley. He confessed to anything they wanted him to. They drowned him 189 times. What would you confess if somebody drowned you 189 times? Then they call that evidence. Then use that to destroy Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya. Outrageous. Nobody will hold them accountable. And the racketeering statutes could hold them accountable, period. Bottom line. Not maybe, not perhaps. The government has said it intends to confirm the disposal site this year, with Fukushima regional governor reportedly urging them to come up with a plan quickly. Uchibori, Fukushima regional governor, reportedly urging them to come up with a plan quickly. These are lunatics, eh? Japan's approach for recycling nuclear waste. Brutal nuclear waste from multiple nuclear meltdowns. That's something I would never have predicted pre-Fukushima. I've seen some pretty evil nuclear stuff pre-Fukushima. That's not one of them I would have predicted. No checks and balances. And somehow or another, an unelected, unappointed organization known as UN, which turns out to be 195 militaries, are going to be the arbiter of the fate of all the species and humanity, is the most idiotic concept in human history that everybody on this planet that manages to live for another few years will regret, excluding nobody except for the International Atomic Energy Agency and UN, I guess. Japan's approach for recycling, disposing of the soil radioactive waste from the decontamination activities is consistent with the International Atomic Energy Agency safety standards. The degenerate criminal organization known as IAEA said in September on its final report on the soil issue, and we covered that. They picked up a $19 million check when they went there with the report. They come down with the report and walked away with a $19 million check on the same day. Then they jetted off that afternoon to South Korea, where the protesters were protesting tritium instead of actual radioactive fallout, because So brainwashed. The most dangerous part of the complex Fukushima plant cleanup, removing 880 tons of radioactive fuel and rubble from the 3 stricken reactors. What are you talking about? Each of the fuel pools got 4 reactor cores. There's 2 fuel pools at the top of each of the buildings that don't even exist anymore. The buildings were completely leveled. And you sent in your idiot machine / the media to pretend that there are at the fuel pools at the top of buildings that don't even exist. That's reactor 4, which you refused to acknowledge even blew up. The media to your right is just a fraction of the media that pretended they're at the top of a building that don't exist. In 2013, 2014. I made this picture 10 years ago. Almost 11 years ago next month. The water release has been endorsed by the degenerate morons, bird brains, serial killers, also known as International Atomic Energy Agency. And TEPCO, which was nationalized right away because they went bankrupt, says all the radioactive elements were filtered out except for tritium. Really? You're talking about 2.2 sieverts per liter? Once you got that going through the filter for, say, 20 minutes, that stuff. The stuff that's coming out of the filter is now going to be like 10, 15 sieverts a liter because the filter is going to be a couple of thousand sieverts per liter. You can't filter radiation. There's no actual science or the studies explaining how that works. How can that work? You can never change the filter, so the filter immediately after a few hours, you can't get it back in the building because it's a lethal dose just running past the building, let alone being in the building. I got James' song running through my head all day now. It's such a great song. That one's a hit, big time. Plant operator TEPCO in August 2023. It was August the 24th to be precise. Where they claimed the International Atomic Energy Agency and TEPCO, Japan. I want you to blame TEPCO instead of the nuclear industry, see? Because TEPCO can go bankrupt. And the nuclear industry can carry out the rest of the genocide it didn't finish the first time. Groundwater, seawater, and rainwater. Oh, along with the water used for cooling the reactors. First, like to cool a normal reactor is a million gallons a minute, 4,500 tons a minute. 4,500 tons per minute. Per reactor. You got 4 reactors and 8 fuel pools melted down in Japan. Whose dick do I got to suck at fucking YouTube to get more than 10 likes on a fucking video after a decade, I wonder? The fucking nuclear industry is nuts. Oh, we can't let him get any traction. He's telling the truth again. Think about how anal these people actually are, how bizarre they are. How fucking useless you got to be to work for the International Atomic Energy Agency. Be a monster, get a $14.6 million check. In September last year, they got a $19 million check, Rafael Grossi. And then he comes up with these shit stories again. After covering up Japan's radioactive food genocide, should the International Atomic Energy Agency be disbanded? Disbanded! And then prosecuted, clearly. I can't see how they should get less than life in jail. How do you quantify that? How do we not bring back the death penalty for these people? Why, does anybody on the planet that a Centrum you think is a good idea to suppress this story for your fucking paychecks? How can you think that is a good idea? How can you have that as your legacy? How can you be so shit for brains to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and not realize you're a monster? You're a worthless fucking tool for them. That's all you are. You're just a tool for the nuclear industry. That's how they see you. You're a fucking tool. You're a moron. That's how they see you. You wouldn't get a job censoring someone like me on YouTube or anywhere else. The only person going to get that job is an absolute moron. But countries including China and Russia criticized the release, they say, in 2023, August of 24, and banned the seafood imports. So first off, you picked up 30 million one-ton bags where you contaminated all the food in the biggest prefectures that each are producing about 1 billion pounds of rice a year and shipping it to the same countries. They're not worried about the rice, apparently. They're only worried about seafood, are they? And they're going to suggest that nothing got out of the nuclear meltdowns in 13 fucking years. You gotta go. Like, if this was the 80s, we would hunt you down, kick your fucking teeth down your throat if we can catch you. Everybody on the planet would be looking for you to try to knock your fucking head off your shoulders. You're saying nothing got out of that fucking building? Really? You worthless, despicable piece of trash. That's reactor 3. You say nothing got out of that? It ejected the reactor core and 8 more reactor cores into 2 fuel pools right into the fucking building. And you're trying to say there's nothing got out of that. Give me my $14.6 million fucking check and fuck everybody on the planet. As long as the International Atomic Energy is taken care of, everybody else can get sick and fucking die of the worst disease possible, radiation illnesses. And then kill all the fucking species. $14.6 million here, $19 million there. They come in on top of everybody, and every species on the planet gets sick and fucking dies. It's absurd. Wherever their planes land, there should be 100,000 people waiting to tear their fucking arms and legs off. I mean, physically tearing their arms and legs off for what you're seeing, what they done. How is that not even fucking possible? Should be at least 1 billion people hunting for them every fucking day on this planet. Like fucking hunting for them with baseball bats to get these fuckers so we can have a future. Where's the world's pride? Where's your fucking humanity, toe? Is there any fucking humans left on this planet with a fucking set of balls? Or a set of guts? Or a set of integrity? You really think that them pretending they're on a building that doesn't exist is acceptable? Anybody on this fucking planet? I'm talking to my detractors, clearly. I'm not talking to anybody that's here all the time. Anybody that's getting educated and incredibly informed viewers. The most informed viewers on the planet are the ones that are watching this stuff. This documentation, this unassailable, incontestable documentation, period. The French government, the French Institute of Radiation Protection, Radiological Protection and Nuclear Safety, IRSN. Cesium-137 plume forecast for North America. Plume forecast. This is the government of Japan. But there was another one. The French government, the IRS, and the French government experts on nuclear radiation risk. The France's Institute for Radiological Protection and Nuclear Safety, Radiological Protection, Nuclear Safety, IRSN, with 1 million in a follow-up study, 1 million to 10 million atoms, 1 million to 10 million times increase. So it could have been 30 million atoms per cubic meter of air. That model you're looking at there is only based on 8 fucking days. 8 days. 8 days. You want to see the 20-day model? You probably don't. That's 20 days right there. That's, just excuse me. That's April the 1st. That's 20 days of radioactive fallout study from the French government. And the moron, the scum of the earth, the most degenerate humans in history, the International Atomic Energy Agency and UN, are saying there's nothing got out. This planet needs to get their fucking heads on fucked and get busy. This industry is going to wipe out everything in increments, everything with replicating cells. UN nuclear scumbag to view the soil removed from Fukushima. Going to go view the soil. Why would you frame the narrative that way? View the soil. You're going to have to get on the fucking crane and go up in the air to see the 16-mile area. 16 square miles. You're going to view it. You ain't going fucking in there, I can tell you that much. Which went into meltdown. What the fuck is meltdown? Why didn't the media call it a nuclear meltdown? Because that word is censored, right? UN Nuclear Chief to view soil, Ronin County News. I don't know, none of these. There's 35 stories showed up yesterday to promote this propaganda. All of them pretty well exact same. Some of them with a few odds and ends, different sentences. Random, but it's basically exact story, paragraph by paragraph. UN Nuclear Chief to view soil. Oh, it was horrible. He went there, there's pigs everywhere. I didn't know what to do. I was crying. I think people like that should be fucking skinned. Cure the skin, put it on the wall of some fucking museum so people can go look at a real monster. UN Nuclear Chief to view soil removed from Fukushima. What else should you do to him? Should you skin him? Fucking wood chipper? I don't know. What? I think, well, you shouldn't get totally rid of them. You shouldn't put them in a wood chipper. The rest of them, whatever's left over after you skin them, you can put that into a fucking wood chipper. You should take the skin and clean it up and then put it in a fucking museum so everybody can see. Just stuff them, right? Taxidermy them. So people can go in and spit on them. You can have like everybody's allowed to spit on them 35 times. How about that one? Keep them alive and bring them around to all the schools. All the children have to go spit on them. I like that one. That works. You can leave them out on the sidewalk at night time, hose them off in the fucking morning, and bring them to another school. That's what we should be doing with people like that. And coddle these fucking creatures. You need a deterrent of this fucking industry, and it needs to be a strong one. I think that's pretty good, personally. I can take up a few more things, but I'm not going to be cruel. Scrapped from the wider Fukushima region. It's part of an effort to remove harmful rumors a bit. Scraped 30 million one-ton bags. Scraped. Yeah, you're talking about $28 billion fucking dollars they spent doing it. It's not like a fucking banana, see? Which went into meltdown. Did I mention that? It went into meltdown? Oh, and 300,000 cubic meters of ash from organic material. You sure it wasn't from radioactive fucking material? So they were targeting Taylor Swift fans, right? Every single story was doing that, by the way. Taylor Swift. Superstar Taylor Swift performed last year. Why would you put that in there, though? Tokyo Dome Arenas. You don't have to put the word Taylor Swift in there. You only do that because you're trying to draw in, right, the kids that are listening to Taylor Swift. So at 5,000, if you do the math on it, so 300,000 multiplied by 20 feet, because that's the length of a 1-ton pickup truck, which is you can only put one bag on the back of a pickup truck. So 300,000 1-ton bags, because that's what a cubic meter is. And they turned out to be around 6 feet tall. They say cubic meter, but you're talking about a 6-foot bag, really, because of the way it expands, right? Multiplied by 20 feet is 6 million feet. Divided by 5,000 feet to get a mile is 1,200 miles. And if you take the bags are 6 feet each and stack them on top of each other, you got, where's the two there? 1.8 million feet, which is 360 miles. And 360 miles is way past the space station. In fact, it's all the way up to the Hubble Space Telescope. It's 20 miles past the Hubble Space Telescope of radioactive ash, which meant they released probably 30 million 1-ton bags of radiation by burning it in the incinerators. That they're acknowledging. We know it was a lot more than that. We know they were actually grinding up the radioactive materials in the nuclear wasteland from the tsunami debris that was contaminated by the radioactive fallout, grinding that up and bringing it to different prefectures and burning it in these local incinerators, which are going to poison the water tables, the food table, the communities permanently. This stuff is permanent. We got an extinction event because of it. 300 million cubic meters of ash. So the radioactive fallout, this is the plutonium fallout, 20 days. This is just a fraction of the actual inventories. The food was banned in 14 prefectures. They only picked soil up and basically the 30 million 1-ton bags we're talking about, rather, is just Fukushima Prefecture's 1-ton bags they're talking about. They can't get rid of the sediment from water filtration facilities across the country because it's too radioactive. They can't get rid of the ash across the country. And so I launched emergency research expeditions for 6 years. For 6 years, and done 4 to 5 months a year on the ocean without coming home. We had a lot of information gathered up, and so we went for it. Because I'm an ex-commercial diver on that particular coastline. So I'm an expert in the marine life on that coastline, period. So if you look to the species to your left, they're exterminated. That's part of the research expeditions. The species to your right is what it looks to your right is just kelp weed or kelp cabbage. That's basically all you would find. There are like little traces of other species, but they're so unhealthy. The species to your left are now exterminated. They never came back. We went back for 6 more years to see if those species recovered. The International Atomic Energy Agency is the people that are organizing the cover-up of all of this. I was arrested multiple times and given gag orders, so I couldn't talk about some of their assets. The species to your left now exterminated permanently. That's because of Fukushima. We went back for 5 more years, and the species to your left didn't come back. Now the ocean, a glass of water from that ocean would typically have 1 billion creatures into it, and 75 to 100 million of those per glass of water would be the phytoplankton, which is the basis of the food chain, the basis of the oxygen chain, the basis of the carbon sequestering chain. And the other 900 million creatures in a glass of water are the soup of life. The eggs and larvae of the species to your left, for instance, and all the other critters. I mean, the pictures to your left don't do it justice. There's 700 algae in the tidal zones. And in those 700 algae are well known, identified, named, categorized invertebrates without the backbones, like little shrimp, which is nowhere near the total capacity of them. At the high tide lines, there was an ecosystem of around 300,000 insects. 30,000 insects. There's 480 species worms that live in the ocean too. That's not, you can't easily see that that's missing. It doesn't stand out like starfish. It doesn't stand out like shellfish. Isn't that a crime? Shouldn't they be held accountable for doing this? That's an extinction event. The species to your left are now exterminated because of Fukushima. And the people that covered up are gone down again now to pick up yesterday. Not gone down to pick up, but picked up a $14.6 million check as part of their kickbacks. And they can be prosecuted on the
but they can be prosecuted on the racketeering statutes or promoting fraud. But they can be prosecuted on the racketeering statutes or promoting fraud. But they can be prosecuted on the racketeering statutes or promoting fraud.
Hang on. I just screwed that up that easy.
But they can be prosecuted on the racketeering statutes or promoting fraud, are presenting themselves to medical professionals as an arbiter of truth and as a neutral referee and a reliable referee of the truth. And they know that those medical professionals are relying on journal articles to treat patients, and that if they tell a lie, if they're committing fraud, that they can injure and kill people. So, I believe they can be prosecuted, and not only can they be prosecuted for those injuries, but they can be prosecuted on the racketeering statutes or promoting fraud.
So they can be held accountable for promoting fraud. Very simply, too. You just got to get a prosecutor to start, and then the rest of them can go after the rest of them. So they're calling it soil when it's incredibly radioactive by the kilogram. It's considered, pre-Fukushima, a dirty bomb in a kilogram. Although almost all areas of Fukushima region have gradually been declared safe for residents, to touch them, like you banned the food in 14 prefectures. How is Fukushima, or in Japan, 14 prefectures? It's half the country. Each prefecture is producing around 1 billion pounds of rice. And the food was banned, not just rice, but all the food in 14, not the seafood particularly like you're seeing now. And it was the farms for a decade. So the International Atomic Energy Agency in 2023, August of 24, came out and said the buildings didn't even melt down. That it wasn't up to them, as they're not a authority. They're not able to penalize Japan or any other country. They don't have any sovereignty over any country, in other words. They're simply advisors. They get paid $14.6 million. Thank you. See you next ELP release time. Although almost all areas of Fukushima region have gradually been declared safe for residents, evacuees have been reluctant to return to the nuclear wasteland. They don't say that, but that's what's going on, clearly. Reluctant. Only the most complacent are bullied into going back into the nuclear wasteland. Stripping topsoil from the land, and this is another incredible propaganda trick they've done in this story. Stripping topsoil from the land was very effective to decontaminate areas close to waterways. So, and we covered this disgusting maggot before. Olivera Evrard, a research director at France's Degenerate Atomic Energy Commission. First off, let me show you the actual pictures of the bags. It's not waterways. The whole story's insane. They should have been prosecuted a very long time ago for what they're doing. The majority of the bags are central. They're on the coastline, don't get me wrong, but the majority of the bags are not on the coastline. You're talking about the whole prefecture. The whole story is insane. Let me give you some concept of what we're talking about. There's 150,000 sites like this. They're actually growing food right alongside of it. They don't live there. They can't stay overnight. They go back every week and tend to their farms, and they harvest it and ship it to Canada and the United States, where now in the United States is 75% obesity rates, and Canada is almost 90%. Because we've been poisoned perpetually with not just the radioactive fallout, but with the food from the nuclear wasteland. They're not picking the bags up along the waterways. That's not what this is about. It's about the bags in the communities and bags in farmland. And so every time we see the word Atomic Energy Agency of any type, what we see is just monsters, actual monsters. These people are actually monsters. We have never, in our entire fucking history, covered a true story from these people. Not a single fucking time. And I haven't stopped working all these years because I'm terrified that the world is going to let them continue to do what they're doing. And, of course, my worst nightmares have already come true beyond any scope of... However, it also has many disadvantages. It has enormous costs. It generates massive amount of waste. Still poses fertility issues for agriculture. No, for insects and birds and mammals and animals and humans, you piece of shit. You fucking degenerate. An expert on Fukushima's decommissioning process. How come we haven't only heard of him once or twice over all these years? He's an expert. He's with the French Atomic Energy Commission, the CEA from France. The worst degenerates out there. These people need to be prosecuted and then fucking held accountable. In fact, you got to bring back the burning them at stakes as an incentive so the rest of these fucking monsters fuck off and hide somewhere. Instead of destroying your future, your children's future, and making everybody on the fucking planet sick and killing all the fucking species. I'm just saying, right? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, when did they get a fucking voice? No, Dana. The only people allowed to talk is the International Atomic Energy Agency. Everybody else should fuck off and die, right? Well, you were wrong. It stands in contrast to the decision to fence off a large area after the Chernobyl disaster. They closed 9,400 fucking farms in Ireland, Scotland, United Kingdom. So fencing off Chernobyl ain't going to stop radiation, for fuck's sakes. Leave it to the wildlife that don't exist. The only wildlife that goes there are the migratory bears and wolves and fucking moose. They're not there studying the biosphere, the ecosystem. It was sterilized, for fuck's sakes. Yeah, the migratory animals walk through there because that's what they do. They've been doing it for a million fucking generations. They don't know what radiation is. They can't read a fucking sign. Well, I'm just saying. You can imagine that very simple to find willing takers for the soil. Takers. Why don't you take the nuclear industry and the government, put them together, dig a fucking mine shaft and put it somewhere else? Or is that fucking stupid? Maybe I'm stupid thinking we should isolate it because it attacks everything with replicating cells for fucking millions of years. There's nothing on the planet with replicating cells that has not an immune trigger to defend against it. That's why we have terrorist laws. We should have terrorist laws for pro-nuclear, shouldn't we? If you're pro-nuclear, you're clearly a fucking terrorist. And a monster. And probably a serial killer at heart. Saying that another option would be to wait for the radioactivity levels to decrease naturally. You know, the biggest byproduct of radiated fuel rods is fucking curium isotopes. And typical, they need lead shielding 20 times thicker than plutonium for starters. Why is this person in such a prestigious position? Because that's what the industry got done in all their prestigious positions. Put the worst creature they can find that looks like a human in that position. So you can't have a future, and you have lost your future and the species because no one's willing to hold them accountable or say it like it is. And I can look in the mirror, no problem, every day. I don't regret anything I fucking said about these people or will ever say about these people. And if you put these people on trial, there's not a jury out there won't convict them. And the prosecutor won't have to direct them. They'll figure it out on their own by the time the trial's over. I can't sit in silence while this big fucking snuff movie is playing out. Saying that another option would be to wait for the radioactivity levels to decrease naturally. If you took that fucking piece of shit right there and try to bring him to Fukushima, he'd claw the fucking eyes out of your head. You could never get him there. The International Atomic, and I say claw the eyes out of your head because that would be his reaction. He doesn't know how to do something like a normal person. The International Atomic Energy Agency has been monitoring the decades-long cleanup process of the region and the plant itself. Shut the fuck up, man. They've done no such thing. What the fuck are you talking about? You really think the International Atomic Energy Agency went to fucking ground zero where there's 4 nuclear meltdown reactors and 8 fucking fuel pools melted down? Do you think they went right to ground zero where 55 countries banned the food for a fucking decade? You think they went right in the middle of all that? Waltzing right in there? Give you a head of fucking shake. See the building to the left? That's reactor 4. Officially, that never happened. But you can go to TEPCO's website or the International Atomic Energy Agency's website or IRPA, the IPRC, whatever, and take that fucking picture off their site. But they're going to tell you it never happened. And the most dangerous part is moving around 880 tons of radioactive fuel and rubble from the reactors. So, like, they went from 30 million one-ton bags to 14 million one-ton bags. 75% of that, they say, is going to be recycled. When it's absurd to even suggest that a bag of it could be recycled. And they went from millions and millions, 6 million pounds per building, 4 decades of reactor cores in the top of each of the buildings, to a lousy 880 tons. Has only just begun, with 1 tiny sample removed by a robotic claw so far. You know, they spent, started out, it was supposed to be $44 million to build a robot. It wasn't a robot. It was just a long pipe, and it had a set of claws at the end of it. They were going to pick up something, right? $44 million. The nuclear industry from Britain and Japan. They could have just took a vacuum cleaner with a long hose, stuck it down there, and took up as much as they wanted. Because, you know, vacuum cleaners are actually real. And the problem with the robot is you spend $44 million to poke a robot, so-called robot. It's not a robot. It's just a claw. Theoretically, like your fucking toaster is a robot, okay? But we're talking about nuclear meltdown sites. We're talking about a technological error. And so when we talk about a robot, robot, not fucking claws. And then once you stuck it down there, you can never go near that claw again because it's a nuclear wasteland too. They could have spent $1,000 on a good room mount vacuum or something and went in and came back with the same thing. Just dropped it down, have a piece of fucking rope, and let it vacuum up something and then just winch it back the fuck out of there. No. It was all about a public relation operation that meant to last several years, see? And they just played out in all the media. Oh, this scientists have created a robot and they can pick your fucking nose and scratch your back at the same time. Ain't life wonderful? In August 24, 2023, Nipperheads began discharging 1.3 million tons of collected water, groundwater, seawater, and rainwater, along with other water used for cooling the reactor. These are not cooling reactors, they're cooling nuclear meltdowns, for fuck's sakes. There's nothing in the tanks. If you put anything in the tanks, you can never go near the fucking things again. The water release is endorsed. The radioactive nuclear lethal materials flowing directly into the ocean constantly. But their version is the water release has been endorsed by the IAEA and TEPCO. All the elements except for tritium. Experts from the International Atomic Energy Agency in countries including China, because we know like China, South Korea, Taiwan, and Japan work together to hoodwink the Asian population. This is to further increase the transparency of the water release process. China said in September would gradually resume importing seafood. China has banned all the farms, along with 19 other countries, for 13 years. But let's forget about all the farms. Let's just talk about seafood. Let's talk about August 24, 2023. Why ain't they being prosecuted under the statutes in their countries that are appropriate? Study. Cesium-137 immediately damages the heart muscle. Why were we talking about that? Fukushima nuclear plume covered most of North America. This was the Neptunium-239 with a 2.5-day half-life. Means it decays to plutonium-239. And all the animals died. These are plumes covering the entire fucking planet. So the International Atomic Energy Agency said nothing happened. All you got to do is go down to Japan every few months and get a $16,000, $19,000 or $1 million checks. Japan is the third biggest donor to the mass genocidal International Atomic Energy Agency. The worst humans we've ever seen in history are the International Atomic Energy Agency, UNSCLEAR, ERPA, the IPRC, UNSCLEAR, / anything from the United Nations. They're just revolting parasites. We've never seen anything good from UN, not a fucking thing. UN Nuclear Chief arrives in Japan to inspect the Fukushima Soil Storage. What the fuck are you talking about? Inspect the soil storage. Rafael Grossi to assess contaminated soil. Oh yeah, and pick up $14 fucking million. Pick up $14 million. Leading to a reactor meltdown. Now, that was the only story out of all the stories that said the word reactor meltdown out of 35 stories yesterday. I was so busted up last night, I can barely stand up last night. I was asleep at 11 o'clock, 5 after 11 or something. Got up this morning at 5 o'clock, went back to bed at 7 o'clock, slept till 11 o'clock, went out and worked around for a while, came back in, slept again. Got up and done some more work and then slept again for another hour. Feeling better now. But if I didn't sleep that extra hour, we wouldn't be doing the show tonight. In fact, last night I said, well, I guess that's it. I'll never be doing shows again. I was so busted up. I know I always recover quick, eh? A rough day. It was a rough day, long day yesterday. I'll show you some of that stuff coming up. That's always fun. Push your body to the limit. I don't recommend it. I'm not even fucking healthy. The IAEA is back to process, but if I don't do it, nobody else is going to fucking do it. If I don't do it, it doesn't get done. Meanwhile, Japan is shifting its nuclear policy. Wow, that's quite a coincidence. Rafael Grossi shows up the same day Japan announces it's shifting its nuclear policy, pro-nuclear. Oh, and $14.6 million check. You really think the International Atomic Energy Agency is not evil? You really think that there are checks and balances? Is there anybody actually that stupid on this planet? Is there anybody that idiotic? If there is, give us a call. I want to hear something that's stupid. I want to hear from somebody that's stupid. I got some questions for you. Call me at Canada, 709-589-4406. If you think the International Atomic Energy is not degenerate monsters. I got a few questions for you. Green Action Japan. So, this was weird. Aileen Smith got mentioned from Green Action Japan as an anti-nuclear group for 25 years or something. Working to end nuclear power in Japan. 26 years ago. Oh, and then he mentioned Greenpeace, who blocked me on every Twitter site because I shared that picture I showed you earlier with 4 of the big medias pretending they're in a reactor 4 fuel pool. There it is. I kept sending that picture so they just blocked me, take the picture down. Every Greenpeace on the planet that speaks English, so New Zealand, Australia, Canada, United States, Britain, Ireland, Scotland, all the Greenpeace all got me fucking blocked because I sent them that picture. Asked them to share it. I was like, we got them now. I put a lot of work into it over the years. You wouldn't believe the fucking stuff I've done trying to get this story out there. I've been a gigantic pain in the ass for this industry, I can tell you that much. That's why they call me the nuclear proctologist, I guess. The climate crisis demands rapid decarbonization, Greenpeace says. They're fucking useless. These fucking people are fucking useless, eh? The climate crisis demands rapid decarbonization, Greenpeace says. UN nuclear chief to view contaminated Fukushima soil. Same picture. Same $14.6 million. Thank you. Come again. Improving cancer diagnosis. Do you really want to see what radiation therapy does to your fucking body? I can assure you don't want to see what I can show you. And I got studies asking the question of why are we doing this to humans for? A 2%, 2.3% in the United States, 2.5% in Australia, survival rate more than 5 years, and it's a horrible existence after they destroy you with radiation. At a moment where Japan is embarking on a gradual return to nuclear energy in its national energy mix, it's important that this is also done in complete safety and with the confidence of society, Grossi told reporters. So we got to censor Durnford. Let's censor fucking Durnford. After covering up Japan's radioactive food genocide, should the International Atomic Energy Agency be disbanded and prosecuted for racketeering? And there's other statutes you can prosecute them. It's not just racketeering, right? 17 likes and 15 votes. No censorship here. Download the video, folks. Put it somewhere else. So, the communities to your left are communities where they abandon these communities, nuclear industry, refuse to acknowledge that there's any adverse side effects from radiation. And this was Unsclear done this study. Average disposition of just cesium-137, because According to the International Atomic Energy Agency and UNSCLEAR, ERPA, and the IPRC, etc., radiation like a banana and a potato chip walking in sunshine. Unless this is a terrorist got it, unless an Asian got it, or a Muslim got it, then it's a dirty bomb. And the numbers we're talking about are, the population is the second row, like Fukushima City, 296,000 people, with 229,000 cesium-137, which pulses energy 600 feet every second per square meter. That's a nuclear wasteland. Even 14,621, and the second one from the top, per square. These are per square meters. So all of these communities, to your left, the population is the second one from the left. Well, left being over right here, and that line there is population. This line is the physical atoms, but they're not acknowledging cesium-137, which is the most confusing thing conceivable. The reactors don't run on cesium; they run on plutonium, uranium, and the biggest byproduct is not cesium, which is nasty. It's curium, and curium, of course, that's what we call a nuclear meltdown of curium. The curium, you need lead shielding 20 times thicker than you do for plutonium. Plutonium kills all the animals, typically with 3 tumors. So you got all these communities, like Koriyama City is only 30 miles away from nuclear meltdowns with 341,000 people, for fuck's sakes. Sometimes I swear, that comes out of me sometimes. Particularly when I'm really fucking upset. Now there's 35.8% of Fukushima children have thyroid tumors of 2 centimeters. So the adult thyroid is 3 by 5 centimeters. The child is about 2 by 2 centimeters. So when you got a 2 centimeter tumor on a 2 centimeter gland, that makes the hormones for your developing bodies, what do you think that's going to fucking happen? Because that's permanent, we're talking about there. And when it used to be 1 in a million, instead, it's 13,646 out of 38,000. When it used to be 1 in a million, that's when you scale it up to a million, that's 358,000 out of a million, for fuck's sakes. And that's the first year. That's 1 year later. 1 year and a couple of months later. You left all these children in these nuclear communities, nuclear wastelands, and you acknowledge at least cesium exists. So now you got to multiply that by 600 to get all the other isotopes. You are fucking monsters. You are worthless monsters. That's what the people in the nuclear industry, and particularly the International Atomic Energy Agency and ERPA and UNSCLEAR and the IPRC and the rest of them, you are fucking monsters. Not maybe, not might be, but you're monsters. Being a monster doesn't really do it justice. You're the most despicable fucking creatures we've ever heard tell of. To leave people in a nuclear wasteland. And the most vulnerable of society. And deny them that there's any adverse side effects. To deny that, you disgusting cowards. And cowards. This is a map of the 14 prefectures that were banned by 55 countries for a decade. Gee, is that why there's 358,000 of a million children with thyroid tumors? And you got thyroid tumors for those children because of radiation. It also, because radiation doesn't just go to the fucking thyroid, which happens to be making all the hormones. Your body is completely dependent upon the hormones. Especially when you're developing. On top of it, well, yeah, it's applicable for everything, but it's even worse for any children because they're developing. And that the women, the girls, the female population of all species, not just humans, are 4 fucking times more susceptible to anthropogenic man-made radiation and becoming sterile than males are. You know what that means, don't you? That's the best way to exterminate everything on the fucking planet is to have constant releases of anthropogenic man-made radiation into the biosphere. And almost every nuclear power plant is surrounded by farms. UN nuclear chief to view contaminated Fukushima soil. What we fucking do? He's going to view it. Oh my God, he's going to view it. The Fukushima plant went into a meltdown. For comparison, the capacity of the Tokyo Dome Arena, you don't need to say where pop superstar Taylor Swift performed unless you're trying to bring her fans into that, right? UN nuclear chief, the Japan Times, the worst humans imaginable, to view soil removed from Fukushima. And he slandered me multiple times, which went into meltdown. What the fuck? What do you mean went into meltdown? What do you mean wrecked? It's nuclear meltdowns, for fuck's sakes. It's not wastewater. It's nuclear, lethal by the liter water. Just walking past it. You don't have to fucking drink it. It's not contaminated soil. It's radioactive soil. Taylor Swift, again, right? Every story done that. The soil kept an interim storage facility with 16 square kilometers. Every story done the exact same thing. Consistent with IAEA safety standards, the IAEA said. And during his stay, Grossi will also visit Ishikawa Prefecture, no, the Niigata Prefecture. Yeah, the Niigata Prefecture Nuclear Disease Factory. And right alongside the Niigata Prefecture during the Noto Peninsula, or the Ishikawa Noto earthquake of 2024, January 1st, in the Niigata Prefecture, right up by the nuclear power plant, there were 6,600 houses that were destroyed through liquefaction through the earthquake at the Noto Peninsula, the Ishikawa Prefecture. UN nuclear chief to view contaminated Fukushima soil. Same headlines, same picture. Don't know the media. We never covered. Soil enough to fill stadiums. Scraped. You're talking about 30 million one-ton bags. You're talking about 30 million one-ton bags. It was consistent with the degenerate IAEA. Close to waterways. The one-ton bags, the 30 million one-ton bags, not 14 million, but 30 million one-ton bags. I showed you that at the beginning. On Tuesday, Japan said they would give them $14.6 million if they don't blow the whistle for improving cancer diagnosis in other countries. Clearly, if radiation worked, we wouldn't see cancer everywhere. We're seeing cancer everywhere because of the nuclear industry. The cancer epidemics first kicked off in the early 70s after a decade of weapons testing. That's when we've seen cancer just go nuts, and Alzheimer's and dementia and diabetes and Down syndrome and schizophrenia and everything else. China said in September it would gradually resume importing seafood. So China, Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan, clearly we've covered this verbatim for years and years now, are working together to hoodwink the Asian population, which is a big population, right? To draw their attention away from farms and vegetables and rice and everything else and put it towards seafood. And then get them. And last year, 2023, they had them all who protested tritium. The current. And that's the only ones getting any traction where people, we're protesting the tritium. Everybody was out with a sign, got put up on the media on the front page to get more and encourage more people to go and protest tritium. Now they're going after Taylor Swift fans, which she got a lot of fans, right? I can tell you something right now. Taylor Swift doesn't have a single fucking song in her repertoire that can compete with the song James Lewis had put out today, in the last 24 hours. Right? Not one that can compete with that song. That's a fact. She'd be smart to go over there and start listening to some of their stuff. So let me see. Nothing got out of the reactors. Let's have a look at that. I'm in a good mood. Rafael Grossi is in a good mood. My Geiger counter up there in the right-hand corner is in a good mood. Jeez. So look at the building to your left. There's nothing happened. The people on the right swearing to you. Look, the mainstream media, right? The editors, the producers, the owners of ABC Australia, Cecilia Vega, CNN, BBC, Rupert Whitfield Hayes, CBS, Seth Dorn. There's just a fraction of the media that are guaranteeing you that that's not true. That didn't happen. It looks like this. They're claiming they're at 150 feet above the building. Who the fuck am I? I'm just a nobody with 19 viewers. Why the fuck would you listen to me? I only got 19 viewers. I only got 19 likes. I only got 17 thumbs up. I'm a fucking nobody. Why would you listen to someone like me for? The building to your left and the building to your right are reactor 1 to your left, reactor 3 to your right. Nothing got out of those buildings. Look at it. Nothing got out. Look at these buildings, 3 and 4. There's 3 to your left and 4 to your right. Nothing got out of those buildings. Yeah, 3/4 of the buildings were the reactor cores and the fuel pools. 4 decades of fuel reactor cores that were in the fuel pools are all gone, but nothing got out. It's all in the 1,000 tanks, Dana. Uh-huh. Come say that to my face any fucking time you like. So you're saying nothing got out of reactor 4, huh? You do know the building was almost 200 feet tall, 190 foot tall, 19 stories, 65 meters tall, right? Huh? I fucking hear you. Fuel pools are at the top of the building, so is the reactor core. Do you see a top to that fucking building over there? Does that building to your left look like it's 190 fucking feet tall to you? Does reactor 3, here's what's left over when you stripped it down with the remote controlled cranes. Does that look 190 feet, 65 meters, 19-story building to you? Just because they put this contraption, they built it off-site, and they put it over the stump, it doesn't physically touch the stump because the stump would fucking collapse. Does that mean that fuel is at the top of the building when the fucking building doesn't exist? Yeah, I'm mad. Of course I'm mad. Why ain't you? This was the most bizarre stuff. 736 pictures got released 2021 on the 10th anniversary. Well, not the 10th anniversary, but the January of that year. With no fanfare. I found it up on a Chinese site. I had translated it, and it didn't really explain anything. At the bottom of it was links to TEPCO, and you were downloading these packages. And it was a total of 736 pictures. And I couldn't figure out the frig I was looking at, because it was a drone, from a high-quality drone. Clearly the pictures were taken right away. They were released with no fanfare, and they were linked over to TEPCO's website with no information about it. But here was 736 pictures. And when I zoomed in, the common spent fuel pool and the reactors, for instance, are completely pixelated out, redacted. Why would he do that, I wonder? If nothing happened, if nothing got out. And why did it take 10 years for that to get out? And that the tsunami ran right through that site. And that the common spent fuel pool is right behind reactor 4. It's on the same street. And it's a lower building, by the way. This is where you put a lot of the fuel reactor cores from the 6 reactors are in this particular building extra. Well, they got no repository, so they keep everything at the top of all 4 reactors, 6 reactors. Each building has 2 fuel pools, and they keep their reactor cores, and they change out a big chunk of it every 14 months. They can't even go near the big stacks, the vent stacks for the fuel pools, because they're around 25 sieverts. Because this tsunami ripped up around 1,200 kilometers of the coastline. And when I say ripped it up, it ripped it up. Like a wood chipper. Next time you have a tsunami, you should put Rafael Grossi on a plane, fly him down to the coastline, and strap him onto a fucking wharf or something, Put a camera on it so we can all fucking enjoy it. You really think that child's not going to grow up with brutal post-traumatic stress disorder? Abandoned by the International Atomic Energy Agency? This is the same tsunami that ran through the nuclear fucking plant. You see that turbulence in the water? Do you really think that... Because they said they had power connected a few days later. Well, clearly they got power connected. Look at it, Dana. Oh, I say, Jesus, you're right. Look at that. Oh my God, they got power connected. Look at it over there. I didn't think about that. When the buildings explode, that's reactor 3, that's reactor 1. And they're all alongside of each other. If just one of them melts down, you can't get fucking near the other ones. When they all melt down, you can't get near that part of the coastline. So what they done was they built this contraption off-site, came in and installed it over reactor 4, and then pretended everything was best kind. Have a nice day. And the International Atomic Energy Agency and YouTube and the rest of them, no dissenting voices are allowed. And they're fucking terrified of anything to do with facts. I mean, friggin' terrified. La la la. Hi everybody. Hi Dana. Your moderator's Dana and Nasana with the tools. We've been around for a long time, man. Bless your heart, buddy. Bless your heart, man. Nothing got out. Investigating chairman. One Fukushima may destroy the whole country. Collapse of a whole country is possible. And not just one country, it's many countries. Fukushima plume model showed 1 million atoms per square meter. That's disposition underground. That's radioactive fallout underground per square meter, 1 million anthropogenic man-made atoms. And this one I believe was Xenon-133. That model, by the way, is only based on 20 days. Another study, a Canadian study, showed 20 million atoms, physical particles, is even infinitely worse, of iodine-131 per liter fell on the United States. Per liter. You really think everybody escaped that? You really think your water, because that's what we drink. We everything is dependent upon water. Water is your most important thing, period. I mean, everybody should be taught to worship water. Water is freaking amazing. It's amazing, everything about water. There's actually a lot of documentaries out there on water. And if you, go watch these 1 hour, 2 hour documentaries on water. Watch a bunch of them over a couple of weeks. And you start to really appreciate that water is your best friend. Water loves you to pieces. It just loves you. It doesn't ask for anything in return. It's always there to help you. It's always there to cleanse you. It's always there to make you feel better. It really is your best friend on this planet, is water. And we've been trained to be complacent and to ignore it and to worship false idols like sports or musicians or whatever. Don't get me wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with worshiping them. It's water should be your number one, is all I'm saying, right? I worship all kinds of things my whole life, right? Because as a commercial diver, I live with the species 6 hours a day on the ocean floor. And I could never get over it, how amazing it was every day. You know, there would always be 60, 70, 80, 90 fish following me around all day long. It was crazy. It was the most bizarre, wonderful, incredible, absolutely amazing experience every single day. You couldn't wait to start work every day. I mean, you couldn't wait to start work every day. You're just so thrilled to be in this universe that existed right alongside you, but you just... Now that universe is destroyed thanks to Fukushima and 70, 80 years of emissions from the nuclear industry and dumping from the nuclear industry. It's absurd what they got done to us. 40 million atoms of iodine-131, a single bed of kelp off Southern California, because a lot of the rain will wash right down to your coastlines, right? Is iodine-131 killing babies in Philadelphia? Whenever you see 131, think of 600 other isotopes. They tell you 131 because it's got a short half-life, right? Iodine-129 got a 15 million year half-life, is never going away. And it came in such a quantity, at 220 million atoms per liter, it never goes away. It's here forever. And the biggest byproduct is not iodine-131 or 129, it's curium isotopes, which like a 250,000 year half-life. Never going to go away. This industry has purposely exterminated the planet and done it in such a sneaky way. And for a lousy $16 million here and $19 million there, they haven't hesitated to destroy everything. And then they're jet shedding around the planet pretending that they're some kind of fucking superhero when they're super criminals that are not untouchable at all. That are living the lie and they need their fucking boat rocked. Pretending this is not happening is not a fucking good idea. Comparisons of x-rays and CAT scans, you hear that from the despicable, soulless, spineless industry all the time. Inhaling particles increases radiation exposure by a factor of a trillion. It's in your body, it's pulsing energy every second, almost at the speed of light, wrecking your chromosomes, your DNA, your cells, blowing holes in your chromosomes, your DNA, and your cells, and permanent lesions to your organs. The list is very long. Your body tries to repair that every second. It can't do it. And then a second later, there's another pulse of energy almost at the speed of light. But it's not going to be one isotope or one atom in your body. It's going to be saturated. Remember the numbers, absurd numbers. And so this has fucked up the fertility of every species out there. Everything that's outdoors in the biosphere, living permanently, getting full body x-rays, has already been sterilized. Xenon-133 in Washington, 450,000 times above the detection levels. Rich in cesium-137, 1 million to 10 million atoms per cubic meter of air, times the pre-limits. And that the radiation fallout models, when you get up to 20 days, 25 days, this one is 16 days, covers the whole planet. Not only that, the United States was hit with the worst fallout the year after Fukushima began. And radioactive cesium spiked to the highest levels ever recorded in the history of the EPA radiation network. Well, France was showing you 1 million to 10 million atoms per cubic meter of air times pre-Fukushima numbers. So you could be talking about 30 million cubic meters of cesium-137. You got the studies showing Neptunium-239 covering the entire planet in 20 days to your left. And you got plutonium-239 covering the planet in 20 days. The entire planet. You got Japan has to do 14,200 open heart surgeries on newborns, neonates, and infants per 100,000. 14,200 open heart surgeries on newborns. There's 865,000 extra cancers in the first year. There's 13,646 out of 38,000 children with thyroid tumors. It doesn't stop there. It's up the whole. But yet, according to the people in charge, like the International Atomic Energy Agency, there was absolutely zero, zilch, nothing happened, and zero, zilch, nothing, none adverse side effects whatsoever. Radioactive rain caused 130 schools in Korea to close. 130 schools in South Korea. Same thing in Taiwan, by the way. And rain in California was 10 times more. Nuclear fallout will engulf Taiwan. People should stay home and take off their clothing, throw it away, and scrub themselves in the shower for 6 hours. But the problem is your shower after about 10 minutes is going to be radioactive too. Because you're using water. And water loves... If it's raining, then it's going to be in your... You can't filter it out through your water filtration systems. You can't get rid of the ash from the incinerators, or can't get rid of the sewage. You can't get rid of the garbage. Radioactive material from reactors 2 billion times U.S. government, 2 billion times more toxic than industrial poison. Harm caused by the nuclear disaster greater than from any work of man. Top expert, radiation like explosions going off in your cells blows holes in your DNA every second, and your body can't repair that. And it has to try to repair that every second with white blood cells, so you have less red blood cells. But it also has to target that permanently forever, and it has to target the source forever with white blood cells. So it's not like you cut your finger and it heals. It never heals. Your body attacks with white blood cells for the rest of your life, which means it's cause and effect, right? It's an instant, quantifiable cause and effect. Rumors still blamed for Fukushima food problems, 2013 harmful rumors. Temporary radioactive soil storage site hinders the farmers. Temporary radioactive storage site. This is where they picked the bags up to, is right there. And the farmers are not comfortable farming there because there's thousands and thousands of 1-ton bags in their eyesight of radioactive fallout. So they're having pains of conscience or something. Personally, there should be snipers shooting every farmer fucking down there. These are murder machines. The worst thing you can happen is ingest the radiation, consume it, drink it, eat it. The whole story is insane. And then the studies, recent studies, they only looked at external doses. And if you go in there, and because you can search for words, internal there was no matches. For external, there was 46 matches. So the study, and natural radiation, they never mentioned a single anthropogenic man-made isotope. They only mentioned natural, like potassium. So the whole study used to quantify moving people back into the nuclear wasteland. This is a recent study last month or something. We covered the entire show on this study only. External. But there was billions of pieces of the fuel, which meant each piece is splitting atoms forever. Because that's what fuel does, it splits atoms. It's a neutron source too, right? So it's got betas, gammas, alphas, and neutrons, and proxy, they're creating X-rays. It's truly frightening. Wherever there's cesium, there's plutonium. Well, Canada, United States, the Canadian study from Ottawa, also the French study of 10 million times pre-Fukushima fallout levels. So say 30 million atoms, which means wherever there's cesium, there's plutonium. It's just the most frightening statement imaginable. So these studies were recent. The World Health Organization, of course, UNSCLEAR. So the World Health Organization and UNSCLEAR are the same organization. They're UN. And they're trying to use them to quantify each other. The ICRP is the same. That's the United Nations. So you got the World Health Organization, UNSCLEAR. You got the International Atomic Energy Agency mentioning it. The ICRP. They're all United Nations. All of them are being quoted as legitimate sources when they're all the exact same source. Instead of being independent sources, they're giving you the same organization that got different subsidies. Tell me that's not evil of a whole different level. The food was banned by 55 countries. How the fuck did you get 358,000 children with thyroid tumors if nobody was consuming it? You fucking pieces of shit. UN nuclear chief to inspect Fukushima soil. Suffered a meltdown. You see that in every one of the stories. Inspect the contaminated soil. What the fuck are you talking about, inspect it? You really think he's going to go there, pick it up, roll it around in his fucking hand? His visit comes at a critical moment as Japan seeks to reassure the international community about the safety of its nuclear Fukushima cleanup efforts. Oh, and he met the foreign minister who said Japan would give him $14 million. Wee, bear with me. I just got to delete everything we just done. Because I cover so much fucking material. If I lose my way, it's hard to find my way back. Hang on here. I guess little videos coming up. We got some pictures. What do you want first? Let me see. Let's do the video. I got to move the camera somewhere else. There's the camera on the skidoo. Let me see here. That was a little chaotic. So we had to skidoo out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So this is in a bad spot, but it gets, that's your first little view. My apologies. I couldn't get I thought about the camera at the last minute, and the battery was dead, so I had to go find the other spare battery, and I wanted to get out on the trail. And so this was not yesterday, the day before. We're slowly getting there. I'm gonna move the camera. Clearly, I got to move the camera somewhere else. I know. Trust me, I know. But you got to realize that was just me, because I got one of those little. I got a waterproof case and a small camera, and I was just trying it out, and I couldn't figure out where to put it. I have a bunch of different applications, but it was -20 wind chill, right? And let me play that for a second. So I wasn't sure where I should put it, because I don't know where to put it on the front. So I got to get the heat gun out, heat up some spot on it, and I got that really heavy sticky stuff where I can mount the camera. But you know what a skidoo is? Skidoo is pretty rough. Anyway, come back to the next one. Bear with me. What am I supposed to be doing here? Oh, right. So I got a new belt. I'll talk. Because I was pretty sure I destroyed the belt on the quad. So yesterday, I called everywhere. I ended up having to go into the city. I had to go into the city to pick up a gasket that was $74. And then a new belt, which was $160, so plus taxes. And then the gas to go in there, everything was $350. And well, I did some serious damage to it, but I got everything fixed, put back together. I got back from town yesterday, and then right up until dark, when I finally got it installed, I had to take the primary and the clutch off. And the clutch fell apart in 12 pieces. I was like, oh, I'm doomed. I'm never going to get that back together. And, of course, you know me, I'll calm down after a minute, after it stops making fun of myself. And anyway, I put it back together. She runs perfect. I was like, at least something worked for a change. That was cool. So we got that back up and running. That's what happened to me yesterday. I had to run into the city to get that, get back out in time to put it all back together. I did. And then Tommy got everything back together. I was so busted up. Everything hurt. Every muscle in my body was hurting. Because I was in a weird position. It was freezing cold. This little list goes on and on. But we got her back together. So cleaned everything up with cleaned all that up with brake fluid. The list goes on and on. I was quite happy when it's all said and done. And so there's a whole bunch of other headlines today. There's a whole bunch of headlines today about Grossi and that. I got them all open up there. I'm going to have to read them tonight and tomorrow. I probably won't be reading them tonight. Maybe I will, who knows. And I'm not sure because I wanted to cover the Chernobyl story. I got a whole folder now on Chernobyl, and it's really interesting. What's the loop? What's the story here? What's your question, Jay? Or maybe I'm out of your loop, or I don't see your question, though. I guess you're not. Yeah, that's my mistake. I'm sorry. I thought I missed something. Yeah, snowmobile. Yeah, Albert, snowmobile. We got an 800cc. And we just picked up a sled. I put a floor on that 2 days ago. Now we got a weather warning for Friday, but today we had rain. The weather is nuts. I don't need to tell you folks that. The weather is insane down here. And I'm trying to keep everything working. It's a full-time job, of course. I'm not sure if I'm doing a show tomorrow night. I'm going to try to. I'm hoping to. I most likely will. But I can't guarantee I'll be back tomorrow night because I'm still aching pretty good. I'm doing so much better, though. Trust me. But when I woke up this morning, I was feeling quite a bit better. I was pretty happy about that. Because last night I was miserable. When I went to bed last night, I could barely stand it another second. I was just miserable. All I wanted to do was just lie down. I didn't want to hear any noises. I just wanted to sleep. I just wanted to fall asleep. And I did too. I was just like, I was out so quick. And I woke up 5 o'clock this morning. I was like, what? What time is it? I went, I was like, oh. I couldn't get back to sleep for a while. I said, I'll get up and get some breakfast. I just took my time, and I was so happy to just be able to walk. 'Cause last night I couldn't even walk. I was crippled. I was everything aching. It was really something. So I'm not going to push myself that hard. But you know how it is. If you get up, even when you're busted up, if you get up and start moving again after a few hours or 12 hours or something, that's the best way to get over that much. Pain, right? So James got one of the best songs I've heard for a very long, real catchy, but it's a great song. It's with small modular reactors and the hype train for small modular reactors. But that's a hit. You'll agree with me. Listen to the whole song. I had it on a loop today for over an hour. I can tell you something. When I listen to the same song for over an hour, and I'm like rocking it out, that's a hit, man. I was like stunned. I just love it. That's the thing. I downloaded all of his music, over 260 songs. I can't keep up with it because I got so much music I love. You can't play all the songs at one time, right? So small modular reactor hype, that's one we're going to play right now. I got a link in the description, but if you're watching this for 12 hours after the show, and those pictures are my t-shirts. Well, that one's different. I'm not sure which one that is. But that's t-shirts James has managed to pick up. He's picked up quite a few. Probably one of the best songs you're going to hear in a long time. And here we go. See everybody. I'm going to do something smart this time. I got to learn to stop the jumping around. So let me mute this first. Let me stop the video with no audio. Back it up. Go 1080. Make sure it's high quality for everybody. And full screen. So the least interruption on your end, hopefully. Oh, I can't do that. First I got to go down and turn the audio back on. See, I'm smart. M-A-R-T, smart. I'll get my smart ass out of the way. We'll see everybody tomorrow night, hopefully. If not, I might do one Friday morning, but I'll probably be here tomorrow night. Have a great night. Hugs for everybody. We'll see everybody on the next show. Except for the nuclear degenerate industry. Fuck you, fuckers. You disgusting nuclear industry out there. And James Lucid is going to burn the small modular reactor with a song. See, he's doing something I can't even fucking do for 2 hours straight. Can't do this type of work because music is special, man. Here we go.
Truck parks by your school. Risk, nah, that's the golden rule. A lawsuit here, a bailout there, but hey, don't breathe the Utah air. Hype train, full speed ahead. Choo choo, baby, that's what they said. More reactors, more mistakes. When it derails, guess who pays? That's unclear. They called it clean, they called it cheap, till the budget's in too deep. Cost per watt through the roof. We swear it works, but where's the proof? Hype train, watch it roll. On your street, out of control. They want it fast, they want it now. Same old scam in a different town.
accidents don't happen with great frequency. SMRs produce less waste. Spent fuel, just store it on site. Trust us, this time we got it right.
Where's the money now? Well, that didn't work. Hype train, can't slow down. Crashing straight into your town. No meltdown, no waste, no doubt. Wait, where's the money now? That didn't work.